investment side. So when I created the first vertical, I said I saw the need for a capital raise. Right? A lot of the companies that would come to me is like, yeah, we are building this up, but we need money. And I said, okay, we can invest this much money, but I don't think it's going to be enough. If you're asking me for $50,000 or $100,000 and you need $1 million, I am not going to give you $50,000, $100,000 right now. I would come in, and this is what always startup companies go through. I would come in when you already have the $900,000, and then I'll put my $100,000. That's hard. So raising the first amount of money for any company is really, really hard. So what I set up was a structure where I co-invest with people at the same time once we have made our decision consensually internally with 6 people in my company, in our firm. If we make the decision to invest, I will bring other families and we'll do a multi-family co-investment on the first round, which is your preferred stock convertible round, known as the Series A of a company. Would I do seed financing? No. Seed financing, or what we call the seed round, should be the money that the founders, the investor, the founders of the company need to put up. So the seed financing is what we call the friends and family money, which means go out there, raise the money on your own as a founder so that you can have the incentive of owning part of the company. So if you want my money and you haven't put a dime, you just think that the idea is yours, that you can work for the company, get a salary out of my money. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work that way. So today's VCs, angel investors, private equity funds do not want to pay you a salary until you get the company to revenue. If you can prove the concept, make the idea, the company, into hitting the market with revenues, then like any company, take your salary off the revenue money. Those are the models. So is it hard for starters, for entrepreneurs to raise money? Yeah. Because a lot of entrepreneurs think that they can raise money and pay themselves salaries and go through life like that. It doesn't work that way anymore. The landscape has changed a lot. So the second vertical was creating the investment banking side, which means we needed to register ourselves with the SEC and FINRA, with a broker-dealer. Because of regulation and being registered to a government entity, a federal government entity, that means that you need compliance. Compliance, people that are checking on everything you're doing. Your emails, your phone calls, where the money's come from, whatever we know as KYC, know your client. You need to do background checks, credit checks, and trust me, to establish a business relationship with someone and going through all that process of due diligence can't kill the deal. Because if you go shopping to a supermarket, imagine, or a retail store, and they ask you to give them all that information before you are actually buying the good, you will just walk away. Forget this. I can buy a sweater somewhere else. But the financial industry has changed. Some people are pro this because of all the fraudulent behavior, because we had an economic downturn that really hit us hard, to the point that we are okay with putting everything on the table and letting the government, letting anyone see who we are, what we are. You're already allowing that by sharing whatever information on the internet with digital social media stuff. You already have your name, your age, your gender, your marital status, your university studies, your thoughts, your consumption likes and dislikes, your commentaries. It's all there. So we have gotten to a point in life where this is okay. But there are still countries, or there are still cultures where this is not okay. So in terms of global markets, sometimes you need to know or have what we call cultural awareness of who you're dealing with, under what terms. So countries like China don't allow people to have Twitter. You've heard this before. So understand, cultural awareness comes in handy when dealing in other countries as well. We created the investment banking side so that we can raise capital from what we call accredited investors. According to regulation, an accredited investor is somebody who makes about $1 million a year, which, who makes $1 million a year? And has savings of at least, I think it changes, it varies per state, per legislation, but anywhere from $100,000 to $500,000 in the bank account. So it's kind of a joke, because these are numbers that the common community or society don't live under. But that is an accredited investor. Can you take money from people that don't have those? You can, and then there are mechanisms like crowdfunding, which you have heard. As a result of crowdfunding, there's the formation of all these different micro-lending companies over the internet, that you can take out loans, and they're crowdfunding in the back end, so you're able to get money from people that you don't even know by presenting a case or whatnot. Are those mechanisms regulatory? I think there's a problem with that, and it hasn't come up yet, but it will at one point of time. So I don't do crowdfunding. Should you invest in crowdfunding mechanisms? Completely up to your criteria. The criteria in investment is don't invest money that you would not be okay if you lost it. So if you are worried about losing your money, don't invest it. Hold it. Preserve it. Then this is the other side of this. If you keep the money in your pocket or under your mattress or in a vault or whatever it may be, inflation will eat up your money, right? Because $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. We're taught this in finance. Let's be more realistic. Is inflation that bad in the US that we really see that disconnection with our value of $1 in regular markets? Probably not. But if you go to countries where default is really hard, examples, Latin American countries have always gone into this default of currency. Brazil, most recently. Yes, that's a problem. Your reais or dollar then is going to be a lot less tomorrow. Or people in Europe with the euro as it devaluated to almost a 1-to-1 with the US dollar. Yes. But do we have that issue here? No. So be aware of the changes that are taking place.